Wholeness, welcome to my channel. Rashida Silvertree here, and welcome to my portal, my space, my place. And today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about something, all right, to my fellow Americans, or my fellow Western peeps out there, okay, in the Western Empire, the Western world. The American dream can never be owned, only rented. Hard truth to swallow, but that's what's taking place. How does this fit into minimalism? Well, there was a time, I think the highlight in American economy, was very much in the 80s and 90s. And then 2000 hit and boom, kind of went down. We've been kind of like teeter-tottering ever since, but the highlight was definitely, I believe, one of the last highlights in the U.S. the economy of the U.S. of A. was in the 80s and 90s, just a huge boom. And with that, especially, before that in the 50s as well, and before that, Industrial Revolution, all that good stuff. Anytime there's a serious, like a world war, economy always goes up, right? But the focus of this video is primarily on the whole belief system of the American dream and how it's just unrealistic now. How the shadow elite have pretty much made it to where it's a kind of a nightmare for some people. Or not a nightmare, it's almost like you realize you're in a video game and you realize you're a character in the video game and that you're given a role and a definition and a box to be in and you can't get out of it. And the only way to get out of it is to really shift and change how you view your life and the value you put on yourself, the worth that you put on your own life. It's almost like, in order to escape the box, the video game, the Matrix, you really have to fundamentally shift your whole engagement with and redefine your relationship with what you call reality. This is not what they want people to do. They don't want people living out of their vans. They don't want nomads, even though human beings are we are nomadic. That's the beginning of civilization for us. We've always been nomadic. For millennia, until agriculture was, introduced, and practiced. But they don't want people to live in tiny homes. They don't want people to live economically. They don't want the shadow elite. Don't want people to live in tight-knit, close-knit neighborhoods. They want everyone to be in this divisive groupthink mentality and paradigm. They want you to overspend. They want you to eat out all the time. They want you to get 5 or 20 different pairs of the same shoe or the same shirt, when you can't pay your phone bill. They want people on Section 8, where a woman has a man, she has her significant other, but she can't claim him as a husband, and he can't live in the house. Otherwise, just so that she can collect the Section 8 check, the welfare check. They want things to be broken, all in the guise of e pluribus unum, that everything is one and we're all working together. That the American dream cannot be sold. The American dream cannot be owned. Home ownership is something where you must be very, very wealthy. But even with that, it's a trick. People who have 6-figure incomes are still part of the video game. They're part of the problem. We're all playing a role in the problem, And that TikTok song, that's just not my problem. I don't have TikTok, but I've heard it on social media. That's just not my problem. They want us to be very Tunnel vision. Don't worry about other people's problems. No one has the same problem as you. You're alone in your suffering. Because when people, and the one beautiful thing about social media is that people are sharing their suffering with other people. And people are realizing that they're not the only one going through what they're going through. They're not the only one facing poverty. They're not the only one being jaded by their companies and ate up and spit out by corporations. They're not the only ones that have to choose between putting gas in their car or eating a meal. They're not the only ones going through a crisis, if you will. Everyone's sharing what they're going through, and that's unifying and gluing people together. And people are starting to hold these corporations and the shadow elite accountable. It's unavoidable, right? They don't want that though. So they'll distract us, right? They'll distract us with more things and more things and more clutter. Like focus in on the presidential, the run. Don't focus in on the fact that we're changing laws left and right and passing bills and changing rights. Rights are not permanent. It's a privilege. Rights are privileges that they can take, the Supreme Court can take away, or they can give at any time or any moment. They can overturn things just like that. We don't have rights. We don't have rights. We have privileges. We live in a privileges-based society. What does this have to do with minimalism? Minimalism can help you really identify what's important to you, what your real needs are, what your real desires are, what your real wants are, what is an urgent for you in your life, what is a top priority for you in your life. With being a maximalist, it's hard to differentiate what's important and what's what. Because you're distracted by everything. You're distracted by having 3 or 4 different, or 2 or 3 different car payments, a house that you're paying mortgage on, and then you're paying for your granddaughter's apartment to rent, but then knowing she can't afford it, she's gonna have to come in and live in your basement. You got a divorce going on. You have a child with severe behaviors. You've got Netflix and chill. You want to tune out for a bit, so you start drinking and self-indulging, and you binge watch these TV shows, and then we're all filled with clutter. When you begin to identify and categorize your needs, wants, desires, priorities, and what's urgent, you begin to see things very clearly, and the BS becomes clear to you. You can differentiate between what's bull crap, what's bullshit, and what's mud, what's dirt. What's real like shit, and then what's just mud. And we get so overwhelmed by our maximalist lifestyle in the West that we can't differentiate between the two. It's like we throw the baby out with the bath water, and the tub. We just throw everything out. You can't do that. But yeah, everything must be rented now. And you have homeowners renting, nowadays it's not meant to be owned. Nothing's meant to be owned. It's just very greedy. There's a movie with Michael Douglas, and he talks about, it's like Wall Street or something. And it's this line, he says, greed is good. And greed is gross. Greed is why we're at where we're at now as a human collective, especially in the Western world. You suck and you take out all the resources from the third world countries asking yourself and looking at everybody and saying, how come we have so many immigrants or illegal immigrants coming here? And then your own, not even understanding and knowing that your corporations are robbing you blind. But yet you're pointing fingers at people who are coming into the U.S. But it's your own political officials that are allowing the borders to be wide open for their own personal gain and their own agenda. What is the American dream but a dream? It's not reality. They sold it. They sold it well. It worked for a time, and they knew it wouldn't. That dream wouldn't sell out forever. It did very well in the 40s and 50s and 60s, almost 70s. Truly. I choose to live in reality. But then you have to question what reality is, because then now they're even messing with that. What does that mean? What does reality mean when you have virtual reality, when you have social media? People have identified with their digital selves. Other people, you have identified yourself in a digital reality. But many people are getting that mixed up. They can't tell between what is shit and what is mud. Everything's just very mixed in together. You have digital clutter, financial clutter, emotional clutter, mental clutter, material clutter. And what's so sad is that in the virtual reality, we use it as a way to escape. We use entertainment as a way to escape, not knowing that they are containing us. Entertainment contains us and keeps us bogged down even more deeper into this void. You don't know what's wrong. You feel something's off, but you can't put your name on it. But you don't feel fulfilled, but your home is filled with everything. What is ownership? What is stewardship? I think if anything, we're stewards. We're not owners. This is mine. You know? We learn from a very young age about possession. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to share, just thoughts on it. And American Dream. People are awake now. It's, we're not dreaming anymore. And I say we because millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people around the planet are seeing this now. Especially, well, I'll speak for the Western world. The collective of the Western world realizes it's all a setup. And what's brilliant is that younger people can see it. They don't see everything because they're young, but they can definitely see the BS. The shadow elite have a hard time creating new things. They can only perpetuate old codes, old systems, over and over and over again, just like their horrible Hollywood movies. Oh, part 16, Lord of the Rings. What? Oh, Beetlejuice. Why would you bring Beetlejuice back? Or Ghostbusters. Why? Why? When things have a natural ending, it's it. It's done. Move on. But no. They have to make their money off of old, used up, raggedy ideas. It becomes raggedy over time. You keep reusing the same creative concept over and over and over. Let's maximize, that's not even a word. Let's maximize all that we can out of this creative, beautiful art piece. And it lowers the value of that art. But they don't care. Shadow Elite don't care. Oh no. They're completely void of feeling. That's why they're capable of doing what they're doing. That's why they're capable of going after the Trump bloodline. They're not just going after Trump individually. They're going to go after his whole lineage. Look at what they did to the Kennedys. Junior. Remember in the 90s, the missing plane. Yeah. They go after the whole bit. So, American Dream, that's why sometimes I'm a bit confused with people coming over here, immigrants. I get it. If you're running away from war, do what you got to do to survive. But for those that are just like, oh, life just seems so much better. Life just seems so great. I can start over here because the American dream. Okay, I don't know what, it's foolish. It's foolish at this point. Looks can be deceiving. I would say people in the Western world, to a certain extent, are an imprisoned people. Materialistically, they live comfortably. Even the homeless, okay, I'm serious. The homeless might be down and out, but even with that, but I find that culturally, spiritually, consciously, the Western world is lacking. It's very secular. There's no connection. And then the introduction of the digital world, the virtual reality, is just making it more cold and disconnected. No family values. No family values. That's why fewer people are getting married and fewer people have children. Because it's just there's been a devalue in family units in the Western world. In a patriarchal society. I know that's not sexist. I'm not here to pin, men against women, women against men. I'm just saying it's patriarchal. It's predominantly ran by men. That's a fact. That's a fact. The women that they select and elect follow the patriarchal paradigm. That's why they let them in. Women who don't go along with that have a much harder time and they don't last long. They get booted out. The patriarchal rule is deeply embedded in human society. But that's changing. Call it what you want, but it is. But minimalism isn't just about materialism. It is about really seeing and categorizing your needs, wants, desires, priorities, and what is urgent for you. Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. That is all. That is all I wanted to share. Just inner thoughts. Just inner thoughts. You can disagree. I don't mind. Like American Dream's still alive, Rashida. It's like, okay, you chase after that, right? And don't get me wrong. I'm not above or below anybody. I pay my taxes, go to work, going to school, I'm a firm believer in education. Even though the industry's effed up, I'm getting what I can get out of it. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, education sucks. Blah. It's like, what industry isn't struggling right now? Every industry is buckling at the knees, all the way up to entertainment. Hollywood is done. They can't get any new artistic ideas. They're replaying, ringing out, rinse, repeat, because the shadow elite, that's their nature. They can't create things that are dark and demonic and that have pledged that their frequency is all about illusion of separation. So they see that themselves as separate from the all. And so when you see yourself separate from the all, that's a very hard and very difficult place to create from. When you are part of the whole, you can create anything because you have connection to infinity. You are a vessel for God's source to work through. And so you have this just tremendous, powerful energy to inspire and to build and to create. Not harp on some dream. An idea that's stuck somewhere. That's what happened to the American dream. It was an idea and it got stuck. It stopped manifesting. And people are like, wait, oh God, I'm in a nightmare. And they woke up. And they're like, oh, this is reality. That's it. Just random thoughts. American dream. I feel grateful that I'm for what I have. And I feel grateful for the privileges, but there are no rights. There are no rights. That's a big lie. They flip flop. Oh, they can overturn, drop, introduce a whole new bill. Like, they can literally say, oh, gay marriage, what? That doesn't exist anymore. Take that off. Interracial marriage, what? That doesn't exist. Take that off. If they can do what they've been doing for the past, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, I wouldn't be surprised at this point. American dream. No, it's called American privilege. That's it. American dream. We live in a privileged society, not a society of human rights. They allow us to do what we're able to do. You're allowed to do what you're able to do. No one can tell me what to do. Okay, fine. You run with that then. A lot of people who don't believe in that end up, imprisoned. Don't play by their rules. You're sentenced and you're thrown in another cage, within a cage, within a cage, within a cage. All right, that's it. I'll see you later. Let me know what you think or feel. Thank you so much for tuning into the message.